The weather in the UK has been pretty hot recently, and that's only going to become more common. So today I'm looking at the best ways to cool your bedroom so at least you can get some decent sleep. Just like recently, temperatures in the 30s, sometimes hitting 40 degrees C, does seem to be a lot more common in the UK these days. And we seem to be hitting record-breaking temperatures over and over again. And although that kind of temperature is uncomfortable to be around during the day, for me, it's the night time that hits me the most, when I can't get to sleep and then I wake up the next morning completely knackered. So today I'm going to be running through some of the things that I've learned about cooling bedrooms over the last few years, starting with professionally fitted AC units and then looking at the portable ones, but also installing and testing out something that I think works quite well, that we don't have much in this country and is a very DIY and budget friendly project. But obviously the best way of cooling any room when it's really hot like it is at the moment is using air conditioning, and the best air conditioning you can get is professionally fitted split AC units, sometimes called mini splits. They're called split AC because half of the equipment, the air handler or fan, is fixed inside the room and the other half, the condenser, is fixed outside your house. And like any air conditioning unit, it works by sucking in air from the room, passing it over cold coils, which chills the air and is blown back into the room. The heat is absorbed by refrigerant gas in the coils and then pumped to the outside unit, which sort of does the opposite, transferring the captured heat into the atmosphere, and the whole thing just continues in a circle. I think they work really well, and generally they can be retrofitted to most UK houses. And if you pay a little bit more and get a good quality one, they can be super quiet at night, which is always a good thing. Generally, split ACs, once you put them on, within minutes the room starts chilling down. So it's not as if they have to be on all the time. Just put them on 5 minutes before you go to bed. There's also something called multi-split AC. This is where you can have two fans in two different rooms, but they both go through the same compressor outside, saving on space and installation as well. Now, when I worked abroad for many years in the Middle East and in Asia, most of the houses that I rented while I was over there had split ACs, one for each room. And it just worked. Unlike the US, where generally you have a central AC with ductwork, in the Middle East and in Asia, generally each room was controlled individually. But there's one main drawback, and that is cost. In the UK, a split AC will set you back somewhere between £2,000 and £3,000 fully installed. And it's not as if you can make it a DIY job for a couple of reasons. One, to cope with the startup surge in electricity, you'll need a dedicated electrical connection which comes directly from your consumer unit. And that obviously has to comply with Part P of the building regulations. So you're going to have that professionally fitted by an electrician. And two, you're going to have someone that knows what they're doing when it comes to charging the gas, which also means you've got to have the right kit to do it. So that's definitely not a DIY job. So if 2 or 3 grand is beyond your budget to get a good night's sleep, the only other alternative you have when it comes to air conditioning is portable AC units. They're standalone, they're portable, they plug into your standard 230 volt socket, and they just have a hot air hose that has to expel to the outside. I've had this one for about 2 or 3 years now. I bought this off of Amazon. They start at about £170 and go up to about 400. I think I paid about £250 for this. I'll put a link for this down in the description below if you want to have a look at it. And they do actually cool the room quite well. So a perfect solution. Well, not quite. There are some drawbacks. The first one is, although they're portable, they're blimmin' heavy. And this one is a struggle to get up the stairs. So when you're not using it, you're not inclined to put it very far away from your bedroom, just in case you need it again. The next problem with them is that this hose, this hot air hose, has to expel to the outside and hang out your window because the air coming out of it is blimmin' hot. Now, although most of these units come with a window mounting adapter, what I found is that these tend to be designed to fit US type windows that slide rather than the ones that we have that open. So inevitably, I just hang it out the window and then close it the best I can, which isn't perfect because that gap does allow hot air to come back into the room, which lowers the efficiency of the whole operation. And the last problem with them, irrespective of what the manufacturers will tell you in their advertising, is they're blimmin' noisy. A unit like this has both the fan and the compressor section built in, with these whirling away all night while you're trying to sleep, and in my experience can easily keep you awake. They're significantly noisier than the inside fan section on a split AC because they also contain the compressor section. And even when you put them on the lowest setting, which some of them call whisper quiet, well, they're just not. So I would say, although these can actually cool a room, they're definitely not a perfect solution. If your budget doesn't run to get in any kind of air conditioning, then the next best bet is using fans. You would be surprised how good fans are in cooling you down so you can actually get to sleep. This one I've got out the workshop, it's all a little bit grimy and dusty. But there's lots of areas of the world where they just don't use air conditioning at all, they only use fans. The initial outlay is a lot cheaper, and to actually use them in electricity is far, far cheaper as well. This one has got a base that you can put on a table, or you get ones on columns that you put in the corner of the room. The only thing I've found with fans like this is that they're a little bit ugly, and in the winter you want to go and put them somewhere as well. So what I want is a fan that's permanently installed so I can turn it on as and when I want to. So what I've just gone and bought is I've bought a ceiling fan from Amazon. I'll put all the details in the description below. This is actually an empty box. It's not quite that light. I've just got all the components out to look at them. So I'm going to install this, show you how to install one of these into your own bedroom. It comes with a remote control that turns it on and off as and when. And that's one of the beauties of it, is rather than setting it up, it's just there all the time. It's not as good as AC, but it will cover the majority of what I'd call warm nights in the UK. And as I said, it is quite heavy. So there are certain things you need to do when you're installing it. So let me show you those. I have 4 recessed lights in my ceiling and I want the fan to end up exactly in the middle of all of them. So I set up 2 laser levels on the lights diagonally, and where they cross is the centre. Before you drill in a place like this, please check if you have any cables or water pipes near where you're going to be drilling, else potentially you're going to have a very bad day. There's 2 main differences in installing a ceiling fan compared to a ceiling light, and that is, 1, weight. It's blimmin' heavy. This is the motor section of the fan, which must be 3, 4, 5 kilograms just itself. And these are the blades and the mounting brackets, which I haven't even connected to the bottom. You put all that together, we'll end up with something that's 6, 7, 8 kilograms, or maybe 15 or 16 pounds in weight. Now that's too much just to hope that the plasterboard above your head is going to support it. So we have to come up with an idea of a better support. The second difference is that compared to a light, a ceiling fan by definition moves around. That means that there's vibration there, which means if you use screws, they will gradually become loose in anything you put them in. So the last thing you want is an 8 kilogram fan above your head when you're in bed, gradually becoming loose. You see my point? Anyway, I've come up with a bit of a solution, and that is a bit of an additional support that will sit in the loft and actually will sit on the joist, not on the plasterboard. So the plasterboard's going to be down here, and the load is actually going to be put on the joist. I've got a couple of bits of threaded rod with a couple of locking nuts here. They will go through the plasterboard, through the ceiling. Then my bracket that holds the ceiling fan will be on the underside of the plasterboard, and I'll be able to thread it on and just bolt it to that, meaning that the whole thing is being supported by the joists and not the plasterboard. In this hot weather, the last thing I want to do is to go up into the loft, but I have no choice. I've already drilled another couple of holes either side of the hole for my power cable to accept the threaded bar. Go in. At this point, you mustn't over tighten these nuts, because if you do, all you're going to do is push the plasterboard up. So I just lock them off reasonably tight. I strip the insulation and connect my new power cable to the fitting, just like a light, with the other end of this cable that's in the loft not connected to anything yet. I then move on to assembling the fan blades, which are dual-sided, black on one side and wood effect on the other. I'm going to go for the black. And each one is simply sandwiched between a bracket and a metal arm with screws. And these are simply screwed onto the main unit, making sure that I've got the black side facing down, or up as I'm doing it at the moment, so they'll end up facing down. The whole thing, as I said before, is quite heavy, but it just hangs on the bracket that I've already fitted, allowing for a bit of movement when it's rotating, I assume. There's also a central control box that you have to fit, which all the wires clip into, and then gets hidden in the top with a cover, which, well, covers it all. All the installation on the fan downstairs is 100% complete. So all I have to do now is wire it in permanently. Now, when you're looking for power in your loft, you're going to come across a lot of cables. Most of them are going to be switched cables, which means they only have power when you switch a light on. So you need to find a cable that has power all the time. Now, if you're not confident on this, please find an electrician and they'll sort you out. But essentially, I found a power cable up here. It's one of the lighting circuits. What I'm going to do is just install a switched fuse spur, which just gives me added protection downstream to this fan. Once I've got this in, should be good to go. I hate working in hot lofts. I have no idea what the temperature is up here, but it's like some sort of Vietnam torture chamber. Hey, and that is done. So everything's in and working. What you just saw was yesterday, but I'll just show you how it works. First of all, this has got a light on it, which I'll probably never use. And fan settings, there's 6 in total. This is the lowest one, which actually in itself gives quite a nice breeze, but it does go up to 6. So if you whack it right up to number 6, then it really does start shifting. And it's only on number 6 that you really hear it. And it's not the motor, it's actually the blades hitting the air. Last night I used it on fan level 3, which was still pretty quiet. Then I knocked it down to 2, and then in the middle of the night knocked it down to 1. But it's absolutely super quiet. And the other thing I'm really pleased about is that there's no vibration. It's absolutely super smooth. So for 80 or 90 quid, I think that is a good buy, and that's something I'm sure I'm going to be using quite a lot over the next couple of months. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will see you next time.